Here, please sign your name to the attendance sheet. And we would open up the floor to anyone who wants to speak relating to it. Please come to the mic and identify yourself, and so we can begin. I don't know if anyone from the administration wants to speak first or. Okay. All right, we invite Ms. Sarah Stoker to the mic to begin to address this relating to the business at hand.
Thank you, Stalker, but
Stalker.
close enough. My name is Sarah Stalker. I work with East Arkansas Planning and Development District. We're here tonight to discuss the community need for possibly applying for a grant for water improvements to the city of Helena-West Helena's water infrastructure. This funding that we're speaking of tonight is through Arkansas Economic Development Commission through the Community Development Block Grant. We can apply up to $500,000, and it would be 100% grant to go towards water, wastewater infrastructure. They are competitive grants, open up to the entire state for any city and or county that has a low to moderate income percentage of 51 or higher. And Helena-West Helena's LMI percentage is 62.56. So that makes the city an eligible candidate for this application. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay. Could you tell the people what stage are we in the application process?
I believe there has been a PER that has been created. Tonight there will need to be some resolutions passed in order to apply for this funding at some point in between now and the application is due in April. After the public hearing and all the resolutions are passed, we will get with the mayor, the engineering firm, and start to build an application for Helena-West Helena on the improvements that they are needing for the water.
Okay. And as part of the process, there's a public hearing attended roster sheet that's Form 117. That's part of the city council packet, but also should be disseminated. We actually encourage everyone here to sign the name, the address, indicate whether you're a citizen, representative, or organization, or both, and please specify. There should be a sign-up sheet out on the podium. But we ask everyone who is here to please sign out our public hearing attendance rosters Form 117 to make sure that you are present and accounted for, so we would know what's submitted with our application. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can ask her a question. Please identify yourself.
Jennifer.
Okay. That will work. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Will you please identify yourself?
Jennifer Hadlock, resident of Helena-West Helena on McDonough Street. I guess my question is, when you apply for this $500,000, can you hear me?
You said when?
Right, when you said you're gonna apply for the $500,000, do you have to say exactly where the money is gonna be spent specifically? And what are you, or who decides that? What are you thinking the money will get spent on? Because really we need, there's a lot of issues. So what kind of the first priority would be? Who's deciding that?
That would be on like the project specific, like let's say, and I'm just throwing this out there, I don't know exactly what the first phase would be, but let's say that the first phase is new water lines. There are procurement processes that would go through where we would procure an engineer for the city of Helena-West Helena and then solicit bids from contractors. And this is all contingent on if the application was awarded. Once we secured an engineer and a contractor, as the project progresses, they would turn in what's called a pay app. So they would turn in a pay app stating that they put in 10 feet of water lines, and then they would be paid for that 10 feet. So it's a process as far as signing off on pay apps, and then the money comes from the state for that amount of that pay app. So it's not like, let's say that they were awarded the full 500,000. That whole entire amount is not dumped into one account. It is pulled down as the contractor bills the city. So it's paid per pay app. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
so you don't have to say what we're gonna use it, or what the city's gonna use it for ahead of time when you're applying, just generally water.
Yes, well, it'll be, I think there's gonna be phases. I think there's a big project ahead. From my understanding, it's a pretty big project. So it'll be the phases, you know, like if whatever goes into phase one. So whatever's decided for phase one, what the most urgent need for water, wastewater, whatever that could be, then that would be the first phase that we would apply for.
Okay. Is it okay to keep asking questions?
Certainly, it's public hearing.
I guess, what is the big plan? Because to me, the situation needs way more than $500,000. And so is that just to help get more money, or, because we know that the governor has $700 million just sitting there. And we think that some of that money should come here and to other communities that need their water
Mhm.
situation fixed. We
Um,
are in a pretty dire situation though, like constantly boil orders or no water.
Right. No, I completely understand that. I'm not from the governor's office, so I can't say where she's been, you know, where that's allocated. The reason why we say 500,000 is because that's the max amount. This project, this funding does happen twice a year. And so like, let's say we apply for April of 2024 and they get approved, the project goes through. If it's
I'm sorry, what?
If it's done by October, then we can apply again in October of 2024.
Sorry, the echoing is confusing. You said April and then October?
Yes, there's 2 rounds every year.
Okay.
So it's gonna be, I mean, unless there's somewhere where a lot more of the funding can come from, which is great, you know, I'm here to try to find all that we can for grant funding. But for this particular one, it's 500,000.
That's the CDBG.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Sarah, could you, just for the benefit of those who are watching or may watch it later, tell us what are some of the projects that have been funded in other communities through this grant process?
Their majority of them right now are water, wastewater. Especially in our area in Northeast Arkansas, you know, we cover a 12-county district at our district, or 12 counties. But their majority of the projects are water towers, water lines, lift stations. I mean, it's almost like we have kind of like it's almost like all of the systems were put in at one time. And so it seems like they're all starting to have issues throughout Northeast Arkansas right now. Now we have some that are sidewalks, drainage projects. We have some that are community center rehabs, homeless shelters, food pantries, things like that. You know, whatever is more pressing for the city at that time would be usually is what they fund for.
And then, like the grant is awarded to our city, typically there's an administrative fee awarded along with it or a part of it. Would that fee go to somebody local that goes to the East Arkansas Plan Development District? How's that administered, I guess?
That fee would not be factored into the project cost. We would apply for the full 500,000 for the city of Helena-West Helena. And then AEDC has their own formulas that they use per town, per median household income to what they would pay us on top of that. So our fee doesn't factor into the project cost, but they would pay us directly, or they would pay the city, and the city would pay us, just like how we would draw down the construction money. It would be the same way.
Okay. And right now, we're considering water projects, but it's, let's say in the next tranche of money, we could consider some other project perhaps that has an equal need or a need as great as our water
Mhm.
and sewer or wastewater.
Mhm.
And when you speak of wastewater projects, what have been some of those? Are they doing lift stations or sewer ponds or?
We've seen both.
machines?
Yeah, we've seen sewer lagoons, the levees around the lagoons, the lift stations, really anything that has to do with water and wastewater that provides that to the city, whoever we're applying for, that could be covered in this funding.
Okay. Would some of those things also include what would have been regular or general maintenance that should have been done? Let's say like on the water towers, you have to clean those and resurface them or paint them or what have you,
Mhm.
inside and out periodically. And I know that we need to do ours, but as I drive through Eastern Arkansas, I see several of them with oxidation is apparent from the naked eye.
Mhm.
Would this grant money perhaps be for some of those things as well?
They do. We actually did one, we actually just closed one, and it was sandblasting the inside and the outside of the tank, repainting, adding an oxidation, adding an aerator inside, the new components that the new rules that the health department has come down on. They do provide funding for that as well.
Okay. Now, the one that you did, do you have an idea the type of cost was involved in that one?
That one was it was painting. They didn't do the inside. Their inside was great. The outside of it needed work. I want to say that one was 350,000 was the outside of the tank, but that was, let's see here, the bids were brought in on that one probably a year and a half ago, and we just completed it.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. I understand. I don't really have any other questions, but, I hate for you to be on the hot seat with nobody to talk to.
Oh, no, that's okay. I'm perfectly fine.
Ms. Haddock had another question.
Okay.
So Jennifer Hadlock again. Would this money be able to help us work with other communities to create a regional water system that I know there's some talk about at different moments? I don't know if that's really the solution, but
If that was something that other ones wanted to collaborate on, other towns or cities, that's absolutely fine too. Regionalization is a hot topic right now, but if that was something that everybody agreed upon, then absolutely.
and are you applying to the state or to the federal government for the money?
To the state, Arkansas Economic Development Commission.
Thank you.
Yeah, anytime.
Mention something about food pantry.
Mhm.
What's the connection?
So AEDC funds projects that adhere to low to moderate income percentage people. For instance, there is a shelter in Paragould that gets funded quite often for renovations to their shelter, as well as they are the food pantry for the city of Paragould. And so they won't necessarily buy food, but they would rehab their kitchen or help build an extra pantry storage room if they were running out of room. Because the people normally the people that go to the food pantries are under that low to moderate income percentage. And so they try to assist anyone that has that LMI percentage.
Okay,
As far as like soup pantries, food pantries, they would do renovations to like the building to where they serve from. So if there's like USDA does food boxes and food programs in multiple cities. They usually have like a one facility to where people come to pick up if it's outside of a church, and AEDC would fund to do renovations to that building if they were needed, to be able to keep that program alive and keep that program going, to be able to feed people.
Would the renovations you mentioned, would one of those perhaps be to make it ADA compliant?
Yes.
Where wheelchair or
Mhm.
handicap can get access to the building
Mhm.
so that they.
And
can
like a
get the
public
food and things.
restroom, yeah.
You said restroom?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Now, as far as the city of Helena, West Helena, and our grant application, we're at the very beginning stages of
Mhm.
that process with you. So it hasn't been narrowed down what we're going to apply for.
Right, that would be city council's choice. What what I'm told that you all want to apply for, that's what we'll go with. It seems that the water and the wastewater is the biggest issue right now, and so, but that is completely up to the city and the city council.
Now, just as a logistical thing,
Mhm.
you sent a packet in the email and it's included in the city council packet. Will there be some resolutions or some steps you'll need the council to take tonight?
If we could tonight, that'd be great. If not, they will have to be passed in order to submit an application.
The sooner the better, right?
Yes, yes. But they would need to be done to be able to do the application. I believe there's 4.
Okay, and those were prepared by East Arkansas Plan and Development District and submitted to us.
Those are actually samples from Arkansas Economic Development
Okay,
Commission.
from the state.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Well, that's pretty much what you use with the other communities.
Right, everybody passes the same ones. Yes, sir.
Okay, so, and I'm probably the only person who I'm still lost.
Okay,
So as I understood it, we were talking about wastewater, we were talking about water, we were talking about water towers, we were talking about lines, we were talking about repairs. We were talking about what I thought was a water issue,
Mhm.
and that we were applying for the funding for that.
Mhm.
So go back for me, and again, because I think I missed it. How does providing benefit to low and moderate families, aid prevention of slum and blight, and all of that, how does that figure into this? Or are
So,
we, or is this something else I'm looking at?
no, I think you are talking about, let's see here, the notice. So this one would fall under the.
Exhibit A.
Yeah,
Okay, let's see here. This application would fall under providing benefit to low to moderate income families. The entire city of Helena-West Helena has an LMI percentage of 62.56. And so that qualifies them under that number 1, that provide benefit to low to moderate income families on that exhibit A. What I was mentioning earlier about the water, and then kind of went to food pantry and homeless shelter, those are other things that can be applied for under the same funding.
okay,
They do multiple, but I knew at here, it seemed like the water and the wastewater, from my understanding, was the biggest hurdle at this point.
okay. Does it exhibit F fall under this as well?
Let's see here. Do you mind telling me what that one is called?
Resolution establishing a policy prohibiting the use.
Yes, okay. So this funding, it is state funding, but it is distributed from HUD. And it goes to every state in the US. Every state in the US gets this funding that's called Community Development Block Grant funding. In the bigger cities, if there was a project that, let's say, that happened and this, I've not ever seen this in Northeast Arkansas, but push people out of their homes and people were wanting to do a protest. This is basically stating that if there was a protest against this water application, that there would be no excessive force given to a peaceful protesters. That there would be no excessive force used by a police officer if a peaceful protest were to happen out front regarding this project. If that was to happen, I've never seen that happen in the 4 years that I've worked there, but in the bigger cities, there are some projects that I'm assuming make some people angry, and there have been protests, and that's why that is passed or needs to be passed.
Are there any other questions or comments for tonight's public hearing?
This question is not really for, the Arkansas planning, Ms. Stalker, but generally. I know like a month and a half ago, there was mention that there is a regional plan being developed, and I guess I just wondered. But if this is part of moving toward that, or if you all are thinking more, this is specifically for Helena-West Helena.
This is
Okay.
we have some major issues, so it's strictly to take care of the issue that we have in Helena-West Health.
Okay.
So this is what this is for.
Okay, thank you.
Not part of the watershed.
No, not the watershed, but the mayor had mentioned when the governor came that she suggested that we create a regional water system. And I don't know if there's any movement on that at all. And I guess that's what I'm asking really, but I just wondered if this money was being thought to be used just for here,
This is this area right here.
just for Helen West. Okay,
There's some movement on there in the background. It's a slow process.
well, if there's any way that other people can help, we like.
All right. We'll make note of that. then. Russ, City Attorney, I believe that's it. Unless Ms. Harris has any question.
You'll be there? We want to ensure that everyone has signed Form 117. Everyone individually signed Form 117 that you were present. Please sign it with your name, your street address, and whether you are a citizen or representative of an organization or both. It's directly outside of the door. We want to make sure we document who are here. So that we can sign it, and if there be no other questions, we're going to conclude the public hearing. So we strongly encourage everyone here to make sure that you go out and sign the form for 117. We greatly appreciate you being here. As soon as everyone signs, we can start the regular meeting, so that you get one of them first. Thank you. Thank you.